Okay, guys, Shoko is finally in the game now. Now, even though she is not a limited character, she will be in the standard banner soon. She is a very strong and powerful character, and a lot of people have been anticipating her by quite a bit. Now, personally, I'm definitely going to summon on her because I have more than enough resources to do so. Whether you want to summon on her or not is obviously going to be depending on your own circumstance, and I'll give their suggestions on whether you should do it or not as well. But let's start off with just talking about the character before then going to the advice and then finding my own summons, etc. Now let's start off with the character. So skill 1, pretty standard. I mean, you probably wouldn't be using this too much unless you're out of curse energy. Her skill 2 have two effects. The first one is healing. The scaling percentage is not actually as high as the SR version. However, it only costs 10 curse energy. So from an efficiency point of view, it's still better than the SR version, especially because this yellow one being an SSR just have higher raw stats, and this is scaling of her curse technique as well. So from efficiency point of view, she will be able to heal more than the SR version. But if we are talking about single healing in one turn, then the SR one is actually slightly better. However, on top of that, she does have a second effect, which is basically weaken your debuff applied on your teammate by 30%. Now this is depending on the situation whether you actually have a debuff that you really want to get rid of. However, consider the fact it's only able to weaken it by 30%. I don't think it's going to be game breaking for any of those very, very difficult stages. Okay, so that's basically her skill 2, and you will be predominantly using this when you actually want to heal, like how you want to use a healer, right? Her skill 3 is what makes it really interesting. It's because she's actually able to apply both a debuff and also a buff at the same time, and they're actually both from different categories, which basically, if you know, will watch my previous video on how to maximize your damage, you know when you have two buff or debuff from different categories, you actually multiply them together rather than adding them together. And that's what makes it this very, very useful, because she, even though on a first look, it's only like 15 plus 62%, it's not actually 15 plus 62, it's actually 15, well, 1.15 times 1.62, so it's actually a lot higher. On top of that, you are also able to stack it for 2 turns or 3 turns. Now, some people will be saying, okay, this is only valid for allies which are actually yellow. And whilst that makes sense, yellow is actually one color which this ability actually benefit hugely from. And the reason is normally when you actually want to increase your physical technique or curse technique increase, you will be using the SR version of Yaga because he is the one able to give the most amount of buff in that category. However, when we actually talk about yellow categories or yellow characters, there's the SSR version of Yaga as well, which actually does a tiny bit of this, but more of a debuffer. And then as a result, basically what that means is that when you actually play in a mono yellow team, because you want to bring SSR Yaga, you are now actually lacking a bit of an extra buff in the physical technique or curse technique category. So as a result, the fact that Shoko actually only able to give this, but for yellow category, is actually kind of bridging the gap of the one category of buff which yellow characters lack the most. So from that perspective, this is actually really, really nice. And even for non-yellow characters, you still have that damage taken increase. So this is still a decent amount of debuff that you can still use and have some play with as well. So that's basically what you want to do with this. And then her ult is also very interesting because on top of the fact it does some attack, it's also able to apply buff. And this one is universal. And on top of that, ult gauge fill rate as well for your whole team. So once again, this is a very, very strong skill and in some sense almost unique as well, because not many characters actually have the ability to increase ult gauge for your whole team. So this is definitely very strong. And then on top of that, she also have a very strong passive, which is the fact when anyone's HP is less than 40%, you're actually able to automatically trigger this 3 times, and then each time adding an AoE is 30%. So this is actually very, very strong. There's also a bit that we can debug. Well, once again, 30% is not nothing crazy, so I wouldn't actually talk about that too much. But the fact that you have a built-in passive healing on top of the fact that you can actively heal, this character just busted. I'm just gonna be honest. Out of her 4 skills, you have 3 very strong skill attacks and then 1 OP passive. Like across the board, she's just good at pretty much everything. Now you might be thinking, okay, yes, she is mainly predominantly going to be used as a buffer for the yellow characters for the mono yellow team, and that's true. But even outside the mono yellow teams, she's still a busted character because even outside of that, you have a heal, which is right now pretty unique because the only other character who's able to heal is the SR version of Shoko, right? So this is still a very good skill by itself. You have an ult, which is able to increase buff, and also ult energy. This is like pretty much a built-in unity. And then on top of that, you have a built-in healing passive as well. So it's almost like by bringing this character can free up 2 recollection slot by default because you can free up unity and also you can free up wish from past. So this is just a very OP character by herself, even if you're not playing a mono yellow team. And that's kind of why, even though she is going to eventually be in the standard banner sometime in the future, a lot of people may actually be tempted to actually summon her because she's just that good, to be honest. Now, would you actually summon for her? Would I actually recommend it? I think she is good enough for me to put her in the same category as all of the other limited characters such as Domain Gojo, Sukuna, Yuta, Blue Ghetto, etc. So even though she is standard banner, I would say that she can be considered as limited character in terms purely how good she is. But whether you want to summon her or not is still going to be dependent on whether you actually have enough to actually pity her. Because unlike the other limited characters who are good enough and because they're limited, I would probably recommend that even if you do not have enough resources to actually pity them, it's probably worth the gamble. For example, if you have Domain Gojo with Sukuna banner, it's probably still worth the gamble to go after them, even when you do not have enough to pity. However, for Shoko, even though she is so good and good enough for me to tempt people to actually summon her, I don't think she is that limited or exclusive enough that it's worth taking gamble on. So my personal recommendation for all of the players, whether it's free to play or pay to win, is going to be the same, which is that if you have more than enough to actually pity her with a combination of both cubes and also pity points, because remember you can use up to 10 pity points or 100 pity points every single banner. So basically, if you can make sure somehow you have at least minimum 45k cubes, or you have some combination of cube plus pity points, to actually guarantee her, then I think it's actually worth taking that risk, because if you actually manage to get her early, then you can then save up your summon for future limited character, or even worst case scenario, and you have to pity her, you are still guaranteed to get one very OP character at the end of it. So I definitely think like if you have more than enough to pity, I think she's good enough to warrant you guys going in and summon for her. Now, if you do not have enough to pity, then I would say stay away from this 100%. Save your kills for future limited characters because she will be added to the standard banner eventually. And even though she is good, you are basically saving yourself, you will just be delaying getting her for like a half year or maybe a bit longer, and it's probably just not worth that risk because she will be there eventually at some point. So that's basically going to be my personal recommendation. If you have enough to pity her, just go for it and take that risk. If you do not have enough pity, just stay away from her like altogether. Okay, so I think that's enough of an intro on how good she is and whether you should be summoning for her or not. And now let's get into the main part, which is that I will be summoning for her myself. Now, you probably already saw that I have 200 pity points, so I have more than enough to pity because I have a lot of cubes as well. I managed to get somewhat lucky on Domain Gojo and also Sukuna. Well, I won't say above average luck, but I would say definitely average luck in the sense that I don't have to pity for them. So that's good. Now, because I have more than enough, I'm definitely going to summon for Shoko, like for all of the reasons I have explained earlier. And I have already done the story event as well to get that 10 free tickets. Now, by the way, I really, really enjoyed the story event. The story I felt was great, especially because Shoko did not have too much spotlight in the original series. So the fact that they actually done like a special event talking about Shoko and exploring her character, I actually think is really nice. And it's just a pretty funny story as well. So definitely do check it out. But anyway, I'll have enough for Tupidia, and I do have 10 free tickets. So let's just go straight into it. Starting off with my 10 free pulls. Let's go. Okay, let's see whether we can get lucky. That's no Black Flash, but that's okay. It's only the first 10 pulls anyway. Not expecting crazy luck. Hopefully I don't have to pity, even though I have more than enough. Obviously I would have preferred to save a bit more for the limited characters in, well, 1 year anniversary. That's still no Black Flash. Oh, Recollection. Oh, character, come on. Let's make it good. Oh, 3, nice. Recollection. Oh, I didn't even check out the Recollection for this banner. I don't actually know what's good or not. Okay, never mind. Todo. Okay, I'll go this one. I actually quite like this Recollection. I only have 2 dupe as well, so that's nice. Well, come on, we won the main prize. Shoko. Nope, nothing good. Recollection, okay. Would it be the new one? Nope. Oh, imagine you use this one's helpful as well. I only have 2 dupe as well, so that's also nice. That I can unlock the 2nd level of its ability. Another Recollection. Oh, character, come on, nice. Recollection, can it be the new one? Yeah, it's the new one. Okay, that's good. I don't actually know what it does, but it's good. Just to get a new one. Okay, never mind. Oh, this is annoying. I even picked him for this month. That basically means I'm gonna get 1 over my dupe limit. Because now he will be at 5 dupe after I get this, and then I'll have another one from this month's selection. That's free SSR selection. Never mind, maybe I made the wrong choice of picking him. Okay, 60-something already. I didn't get a Black Flash in any of those animations. Even though I got quite a few SSRs, there's no Black Flash anywhere. Ooh, what's this? Recollection. Which one pass? I already have them maxed out, so that's a bit of a useless one. Ooh, character, come on. And a Recollection. Okay, that's a pretty crappy Recollection. What's the character? Come on. Wait, what's this? Is this a Shoko? No! Red Nabara. Nah, it's okay. The first 2 for any kind of DPS character is kind of worse. But where's Shoko, man? Oh, no Black Flash again? Oh, come on. Okay, got a character. Come on. Oh, Junpei. Never mind. Oh, it's 120 already. I have a feeling I might have to pity her now. Because obviously I have 100 pity point cards, so I am going to stop out at 150 summons. I got this one again. Come on. Oh, Black Flash, finally! Can it be Shoko though? Oh, a character at least, that's nice. Oh, Gojo. I already have him maxed so many times. Okay, Taunt Recollection. Come on. I'm so close to just pitying her now. the collection. Okay, I've got 3 of the new ones so far. Let me just check how many. Yeah, I'm at 140. Last summon. If not, then I'll just use my pity points to top it up. Come on. Give me luck on the last one. Nope. Okay. See, that's why it's risky to summon on this kind of banners unless you have enough to pity. Which luckily for me, I do have enough to pity, so I will do it. Whoops. That is not the right one. Whew, that was close. I almost done the wrong thing there. It should be this one I'm clicking here, exchanging for the cards. So I go from 150 pity points to 250. And now I have pity her. Alright, not the most ideal situation, but she is such a good character that is worth it, so I'm fine with that.